Welcome to part two of Not Your Status Quo Ranks Phase 4 of the MCU.
Well, that brings us to Carrie's favorite series, probably the best thing ever introduced into the MCU. In fact, I should probably make a tier above S just for this series. We have Moon Knight.
Oh boy.
Moon Knight. Oh boy. Moon
Carrie
Knight.
says F.
Carrie
F minus. I'm with Carrie on that.
Moon Knight definitely had its issues, and I think I was definitely more hyped for this series prior to it coming out because I thought it was going to be better than it actually turned out to be. And I know that I mentioned this multiple times in all of our videos when we were kind of doing... we were talking about Moon Knight back when we first started with Twitch, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought so, yeah. So, I kind of said this back then, but to me, Moon Knight felt very separated from the rest of the MCU. While I loved the use of sort of the fractured editing and the use of music to kind of demonstrate what was happening between, the Moon Knight's different personalities, each taking control at different points in time. Again, it felt very separate from the MCU, and I'm still not entirely sure whether, what happened in his head versus what actually may have taken place. I mean, it was so confusing for me at the end of the day, and the only connection that we finally got, I think... No, I'm sorry, I take that back. I was about to say, we did get a connection to the MCU with some of the gods and goddesses appearing in Thor Love and Thunder, but that's not the case. We didn't see them in Thor Love and Thunder, but we did see the Panther god from Black Panther appear in Thor Love and Thunder. So, I don't know. This had potential. It could have been good. When you're telling me that you've got a god-powered psychopath that fights crime at night, I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be Magic Batman or something, but it wasn't? I don't know. The only thing that made it kinda decent for me was, oh my god, see, I can't even remember any of the actors and actresses' names. When they gave his companion, when she got her god powers. But then they ended up doing some weird CGI kaiju battle, and I don't know. It was a mess. I didn't care for it. I would throw it down somewhere in E. I don't know if anything of any of them are really going to be F tier, at least for me. But it's definitely minimum at an E for me.
Sierra says, I'm just going to read what she says, and I'll let you go, Keith.
Yep.
Sierra says, I'm glad it wasn't taking place in Manhattan for once. It explored his mental health. The Egyptian gods were in love. What? They were in love with thunder? No, I don't think they were.
I don't remember seeing that, but all right.
The show couldn't explore all the gods in one season, just the ones that were relevant. I still think it was pretty damn late.
That wasn't a complaint. I'm not complaining that they didn't explore all the gods.
No, I asked her to make a case for why she's giving it a B. Because she gave it a B. And I wanted to know why.
Well, and that's...
Yeah, we don't know what his mental health status is.
No.
For me, I think that the better approach for Moon Knight was keep the supernatural stuff at a low. Hey, this guy was brought back to life, basically. He doesn't fully understand what Khonshu is, and they can dwell on it later and kind of get into it, but have, some dealings with Ethan Hawke. While I was watching this, I thought they were like, let's just have a show where Oscar Isaac can show what a great actor he is. Because he's a tremendous actor. And he did a great job in this. And Ethan Hawke did a great job. And, everyone in it really did a great job acting. But the story was so convoluted with the supernatural and Khonshu and everything else that it didn't make sense to dive that deep into it yet with that character. You have to introduce him first. And you got to have a good understanding of it. You have to have some compassion for him. He's got to do some good. And then you kind of see the mental breakdown and you see where he is mentally, and you got to get a better feeling that this isn't a god controlling him and doing all this stuff. They just did a very bad job of introducing this character who's great. I love Moon Knight, and they just did a bad job, and they rushed Mr. Knight, and everything about this just screamed, we want to show how great an actor Oscar Isaac is to me, and that was the only reason why we saw it. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
So
all the blackouts were too much.
Now, I'm not going to give it an F. It would have got an F if it was anyone else, probably outside of like Ethan Hawke and Oscar Isaac and them, because they were so good in it that it brought it up to an E.
The actors were acting their asses off. They did a really good job with what they were given. I will give them that.
No, I get. All right, Sierra says the blackouts were completely made sense to his character, considering he has multiple personalities in one body.
Yes,
the problem I have with that. The problem I have with that is they blacked out so many times when it would have been nice to see some action, but they hadn't even explained that yet, and they had done probably 5 times before they even got to explaining that.
Yeah, outsiders like me don't know he has multiple personalities. They definitely could have done a better job of building all that up so it made more sense. It was just, unfortunately, not very well executed show. So it looks like, we have an F from Terrible Gamer, an F- from Carrie, an F from Dave, we got a B from Sierra, and 2 E's from Doug and I. So it looks like, 3 F's, 2 E's, and then a B. Is the B enough to bring it up to an E with the 3 F's?
Oof, I don't know.
I don't think so. Not if Loki was 3 S's, and it only took 3 S's to put Loki in the S. So we got 3 F's and an F.
Wow, so we're saying that Moon Knight was worse than Black Widow. All right. The viewers have spoken. Yeah, Oscar Isaac was fantastic. He was a really, really good actor. And the CG in this series was good. I appreciated that. Yeah. It's the story that killed it for me.
Yeah.
I think they could have done better at exploring it. Yeah, I've got a lot of love for the Moon Knight character. And what was the run that I think we gave it away? Not mistaken? I don't know. I know we talked about it a lot. That we were that we thought a lot of the series was pulling from.
Yeah, it was what was the Lemire Smallwood.
Yes, the Lemire Smallwood. Yes. I loved that comic book. It was so good. And I think that's Moon Knight done right. And I guess I just expected a little bit more out of the show.
Yep.
All right, so we are throwing Moon Knight into F tier. That is our first F tier. All right, so that brings us to our next big film release, and that is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Gentlemen, I have to go grab another Absolutely drink, so I will let you begin to talk about this one, and I'll be right back.
Would you like to go first, Dave?
Sure. Wait, hold on, Sierra. Is that S for Doctor Strange? And Terrible Gaming is also giving it an A? Wow, you guys are generous. It definitely was not a Doctor Strange movie, if you ask me. It was more of a Wanda movie. Wanda and the Multiverse of Madness. And, this movie went a long way to ruin Wanda as an Avenger. There's no way, I don't think she can ever come back from what she did in this movie. She killed too many people. She was too vicious. I know she was being controlled by the Darkhold, but she wasn't completely controlled by it. She still had some, say-so. Not much, but there's no way you can come back from that. And just for her character, I thought, that's what I thought of her character. The rest of the movie, it's when they brought in the Illuminati, and they're the top tier in their universe, and she just dispatched them like they were nothing. That universe has got nothing going for it. I thought it was kind of, I don't want to say boring, but I didn't. I'm used to getting great movies out of the MCU, and I didn't get one here. It's kind of the way I felt, the way Keith felt about Thor 2. That's how I felt about this movie. So I would give it a C.
See, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this movie. I do. I'm not arguing. It was more centered on Wanda and her journey with the Darkhold and trying to find her kids. But it was still enjoyable. I mean, you saw a lot of Sam Raimi's influence in it and sort of some horror aspects. And overall, I think it flowed well. I think the movie made a lot of sense. I enjoyed it. Doctor Strange being Doctor Strange and kind of breaking that line by animating, his a variant corpse in his universe to go back, and then him finally learning that, hey, I can't do it all myself. I need help. And he lets American Chavez, kind of take out Wanda a little bit before she destroys the Darkhold and gets all of that. I enjoyed this movie. While sitting through it the first time, I enjoyed it. It's not a perfect movie by any sense of the imagination, but it's enjoyable. I watched it when I got the Blu-ray, and I watched it again when it came out on Disney Plus. Well, actually, I watched it when it came out on Disney Plus. Then I watched it again when I got the Blu-ray. And it's still a very enjoyable movie. I mean, I think it pushes the story forward in the MCU quite a bit. I think we're going to see Wanda coming back. I'm not disagreeing. Wanda can't come back as a hero. And as I've said over and over again, I don't think she'll ever be a hero in anyone's eyes. But I do think she's going to make a sacrifice, either probably in Secret Wars, that saves everybody, and she will have to sacrifice herself to do it. So they'll know she's a hero, but everyone else is going to know her. Oh, she's the lady who took over the town. She's the lady who murdered people in an alternate universe, yada, yada, yada. So overall, it's an enjoyable movie. It pushes story forward, and I'm definitely giving I give it an A. I definitely gave this movie an A. It's rewatchable, good times.
Oh, you are.
I really
frozen.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I thought you were frozen there, but go ahead.
Oh no. No, I really enjoyed this movie as well, and I don't think I've budged much from the way that I rated it back when we did our at the theater review. I thought most of what was done in this movie was really good. I thought the performances were outstanding. And yeah, I have to agree with Terrible Gaming. The VFX was so good in this movie. I loved it. I loved when they were traversing through different dimensions, and you could see it affecting them, like how they appeared. Like I don't want to be like the guy who's like, oh, Family Guy did it first, but and Simpsons did it before them. It was really fun. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool the way that they did that. And I loved Bruce Campbell. Of course, he had to be in it. He had to make an appearance.
Oh,
because of course he did in a Sam Raimi movie. And I thought Bruce Campbell as Pizza Papa was hilarious, and I thought it was great. And I kind of want some little Pizza Papa balls now. But yeah, it definitely had that Sam Raimi influence, and that was probably one of my favorite things about this. So I believe I heard both of you say that it was kind of Wanda centric, and yeah, I guess kind of. I thought that she was I don't know that she was on screen any more than Doctor Strange or America Chavez. I thought they all kind of shared the screen time pretty equally. And I would argue that this was, even though America was kind of the sidekick, I would say this was more her story and sort of her introduction into kind of coming into her own and becoming a hero and possibly becoming part of the Young Avengers, wherever she's going to go. I don't know if she's ever going to show back up in, our timeline of the MCU. It seemed like she was training at Carmitage. How do you say it?
Carmitage?
Carmitage, yeah. It seemed like she was training at Carmitage. So, I mean, I assume she's going to be part of, the regular MCU. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this movie. The creepy elements from Sam Raimi, I have preached about this to like everybody. I think one of my favorite parts of that movie was when they trapped Wanda in the mirror dimension, And I assume
Fun.
she was given like she was studying the Darkhold a lot. We saw that at the end of WandaVision. She was crafty. She was crafty as all hell. But the fact that she was trying to figure her way out of the mirror dimension by crawling through reflective areas, and the fact that she kind of like the ringed her way out of a puddle was so fucking great. I mean, that was so cool. I loved that scene in that movie. Um, I, like I said, I think that that's Doctor Strange's characterization in the MCU. I think he's just an egotistical dummy in a way. Sorry for, all the Doctor Strange stands out there. Yeah, he's going to make a bunch of dumb decisions. Yeah, he read the Darkhold, so, consequences on top of consequences. But, yeah, there's very little that I could find to complain about this movie. I'd say the only thing that I could think of is it was more goofy at times than I expected. Like, the end credit scene didn't do much for me. Yes, I guess it was funny to see Bruce Campbell still hitting himself, but it wasn't really up there with some of the great MCU end credit scenes. And I guess I would have liked to have seen more than two, like spend time in more than two alternate universes. But then, the music battle, that really solidifies it for me. The music battle where they're throwing magical music notes at each other. I mean, there are so many good creative decisions in this movie that I have rewatched this one multiple times just for how good it is and how much fun that I have with it. And for all the people that argue and say, wow, I can't believe Wanda was able to take out the Illuminati, I can, and here's why. And I won't spend too much time on this. I'll make this brief. They were not used to a Wanda that read the Darkhold. They were basing the warnings of Wanda coming for them on their knowledge of their universe's Wanda. And I get that they're supposed to be smart, and they probably should have taken that into account, but they didn't. And so, the fact that she was able to completely obliterate them, especially when they were dumb enough to give away Black Bolt's, like, his power, they kind of did it to themselves. And also, the memes that came after that movie with Reed Richards being spaghetti. So good. So good. Personally, I got to throw this in. I'd say for me, this is hovering somewhere around A and S, but I'd be willing to throw it into A because I don't know that it was better than Spider-Man No Way Home. So I'd say this probably belongs in A for me.
So it looks like we have an S from Sierra, A's from Doug and I. Dave gave it a C. Carrie.
What about gaming? Terrible gamer. What do you give it?
Carrie gave it a B plus, and TG gave it an A. So we got 3 A's, an S, a B, and a C. So I think that goes in A. I think we got an A. We got 3.
A. We got an A.
A, take off,
Yep.
A.
I think it's going in A as well. Now, does it compare to WandaVision in any way? Like, I know that one's a film, one's a series, but between the two, what do you gentlemen think?
I think WandaVision's better.
Huh?
We both think WandaVision's better.
Okay. All right. Then that is where it stays. Okay. How are we doing with those of you that went to ads? Are you back yet?
How would they know? They can't hear you.
Well,
You gotta
if they
type it in.
respond, if they respond, then they're back.
Oh, I guess that's true. Yeah.
All right, cool. They're back.
We
Then,
got 7 more properties, and we've been on for 2.5 hours.
oh my God, have we really? Oh,
2
wow.
hours and 10 minutes.
Okay.
Holy moly.
I rounded up.
Boy, I cannot believe we've been going for this long.
It doesn't seem like it. It's
No,
like watching Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. It's over
Jeez,
before you
are
know
we going
it.
to even have time to talk the holiday special? I don't think we will.
Why not? We can do it. We can stay up all night. We can stream till 3 in the morning, damn it. We're getting this done.
All right. Then
they're
let's go
back.
ahead and move on to our next one. That is going to be Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel. I'll let you two gentlemen talk about it first.
And go, Keith.
Okay. I mean, I really enjoyed this series. While we were talking about it, I think they did a good job making, Aman Vellani was fantastic in this. I loved her parents. I loved that they kept her sort of this, super fan of superheroes and Carol Danvers and, with her little podcast. And I just really enjoyed. I thought, the way they brought everything together, the way they made her a mutant, even though that scene was a little weird. I thought they got all the characters right, the friends right. Everything about this series was just fun to me. It wasn't like the best thing ever, but it was so well done, and so, you could tell it was made with love for the character, and it really came out while watching it. And I just thoroughly enjoyed everything about this series, but I did give it a B. Not because I didn't like it, but just because I thought it could have been better. I don't think the villains were the best choice. She didn't really have to do much. It was more, this universal thing. And I loved it that she went back in time and kind of saved her own grandmother that filled in that story. But having, the Jinn and the Clandestine as the villains just was kind of, in my opinion, not the best choice. They could have done some other things and we could have seen her use her powers a little more. But I still really enjoyed it, so I'm going to stick it with a B.
I think it was an okay introduction. I mean, they have to introduce her at some point, and not every origin story is going to be good. I mean, yeah, going back in time, that was kind of a neat twist. I give it points for that. And, I thought it was well acted. I'm not as generous with the superlatives as Keith is when he says, what'd you say, she acted tremendously or something?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not as generous with that, but it was good. I didn't, like many of the things in Phase 4, I keep repeating myself, but I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. Yeah, I could have done, if it had never came out, I wouldn't have been affected by it at all. But they needed a way to bring her into the universe so they could bring her into the Marvels, and she has a little bit of a backstory going into that. What did they really accomplish with this series? They just brought her in. I don't see any lasting effects from this particular series. Showed you how her powers worked. And I guess they set up for a season 2 with that, what was that, her rival's name? The guy who has the blue power.
Cameron,
yeah. So they set him up for another series. I wonder, is he going to be in the movie?
I don't think so. Movie? I don't think he's going to be in the Marvels.
So they're going to set it up for a second season. I don't really have much more to say. It was just kind of blah for me. I really like, who I really liked their acting in this was the mother. I thought she did a really good job. But I gave it a D.
Wow, a D.
That's pretty harsh.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's how I reviewed it when we were watching it too, so it shouldn't be a surprise.
I don't remember, Dave. That was so long ago. And I don't remember.
Wait, did we even have a channel when this came out?
What's that?
It's like 6 months ago.
It was so long ago. That was before the pandemic. It was. What was life before the pandemic? I remember not.
It was not an A+ review from me. What do you mean, you silly?
No, because you were saying nice things about it. You haven't said much nice things about the Disney Plus shows. And that's why I said your review was harsh, because you're like, yeah, the mom was a really good actress. It was enjoyable, blah, blah, blah. I give it a D.
D. It's with the Eternals.
I don't think I said enjoyable. I could have done without this had they never released it. So I don't think I said enjoyable. So a D is pretty accurate.
All right. So then my turn?
Yep.
I also had fun with this. I enjoyed it for what it was. It was a pretty fun, I like the way that Carrie described it. It was a fun little family show. It was cute. The things that I think it did well, that's what I'll talk about first. So I'll do this a little bit different than the way I've been talking about the other movies and TV series. I'll break it up into what was good, what was bad, that kind of thing. So,
Break it down.
things that I think that it did well. I thought the majority of the acting was pretty good. I absolutely loved I just said absolutely. I absolutely loved the visual effects, and I said this during when we were actually breaking down the series, when we were talking about it. It was giving me a lot of Scott Pilgrim vibes. The way that they were showing the text messages or different things, I really enjoyed that. I thought that was a nice touch. I thought it gave it something different than they've done with other MCU series or movies. It was nice. It kind of gave it its own identity, so it didn't fit into the same mold as every other MCU thing. Also, I appreciated that they sort of changed up her powers in a way where she wouldn't have been a carbon copy of Mr. Fantastic. So, while I am a huge fan of her comic book iteration, and I really like the way that her character is in the comics, I'm totally okay with the fact that her mutant powers mixed with the Bengals kind of gave her this sort of hard light abilities. I thought that was kind of neat.
It was just another Manic Monday.
I wish it were a Sunday.
Also, as Keith pointed out, they brought in the Jinn, which originally were not part of Miss Marvel. They're not part of her comic book series. They actually came from a completely different comic book series. But the fact that it kind of tied into the overall world and the culture that was with Miss Marvel, I thought that was actually better. I enjoyed it. I thought that was a nice twist that they were able to. Whoever, the showrunners that were in charge of this were intelligent enough to be like, okay, here's what works from the comic book, here's what doesn't, but we can also search the larger MCU to find things that we can grab and we can put into Miss Marvel that would make it work even better. And I appreciated that. I really liked that. I will even go so far, Carrie, to change my mind on the mother. I thought it was a little silly that she suddenly made a superhero costume for her daughter, but you know what? I'm willing to let that slide. That's fine. It's cool. It was a cute little movie. I enjoyed the way that they displayed her powers, the way they changed it up. I liked the going into the past, like what Dave pointed out. Thought the acting was pretty good. Now, here's the things that did not work for me. The villains. While I like the idea that they brought in the Jinn from another comic and that they kind of fit them in to make them work within the Miss Marvel universe, the way that they went about their actions, like everything about the choices that the villains made didn't work for me and it didn't make sense. There was like 2 of them that were main character status level, in the show, and the rest of them were just like, sidekicks that you can get rid of. They didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Their main motivation for trying to get a hold of Miss Marvel was they were like, oh, well, we need you to use your Bengal powers to open up a gateway and send us back home. Here's the thing. They rushed it all of a sudden, like it was episode 3 or something. They're like, we need this to happen now. And it's like, but why? You haven't specified any reason why it needs to happen now. You've literally been waiting, I don't know, like 100 years or something?
Yeah.
Like, I think you can wait
300 years.
How long?
I think they said 300. Is that right, Keith?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, jeez, I didn't realize.
300 years they've been waiting. I got to do my Truman Capote, so.
I see. Yeah, so, I don't know. I felt like they could have changed up they could have enhanced the motivations of the villains, because for them to be like, oh my god, we need you to open up a gateway right friggin' now. This is like do or die, but it wasn't. Like nothing was going to happen to them. They weren't hurting. They weren't going to die. Like their world wasn't going to go anywhere. They didn't establish a time limit. There were no stakes really. It was, we need you to open it up now. But I was asking why. Why did they need her to open it up right now? Why were they willing to kill to make this happen? It didn't make any sense. So
if it's so urgent, why did they have her over to cook her dinner and stuff? You know, just chill out and hang out. Why, if it's so urgent, why didn't they just do it right then?
That's what I was thinking.
I'm 100% with you, Doug. And I got to find the Crispix.
The other things that I would say didn't quite work for me was when she met up with the who was the group that had the red scarves?
The Red Daggers.
The Red Daggers. When she met up with them, again, I guess I have to suspend some disbelief, but the fact that they had a weird virtual 3D printed PowerPoint ready to go to fill in the backstory for her was a little bit much. I was like, okay. And I could have used a bit more, like learning a bit more about them, other than the fact that they were there for like half of an episode and that was it. And it was like, all right, you know, your only purpose served was to do a PowerPoint presentation. That was your whole job in this show. And
then they became very aggressive. They were very aggressive after that for no reason. They just it's time to be aggressive with this girl. We just met her, and hey, let's give her time. No, forget that.
You're talking about the gin again? Yeah. So then the other thing, I guess the final thing that didn't really work for me was once they did open up the portal, it's like they didn't even think about what the consequences were, what it would do. The PowerPoint presentation basically said, it's going to cause like this massive bad thing. You can't open up a gateway between the two worlds because they're going to collide and bad, naughty, terrible things are going to happen. I don't know. The Red Daggers weren't like super clear on what would happen, but as we saw, when you try to go through the gateway back into the world where they come from, you turn into a poorly rendered CG skeleton. So, like, that was
you gotta pay the price for admission.
So
that's how you get in.
So for me, it was. I think there was enough good that I enjoyed about the series that kind of outweighed the three things that I didn't like about it. So, with all of that said, I am willing to kind of put it back into B tier. And yeah, great representation. I totally agree, TG.
You know, one of the things that I've always said about why I love the Miss Marvel comics, too, with Kamala Khan is, as a 50-year-old white dude, I don't know much about Muslim culture or anything else. And while the TV show did a pretty good job of showing her family and all of that, and it was great, the comic really delved into what it's like to be a teenage Muslim. And I hearken to, you know, the Spider-Man comics when he was a teenager and learning with his powers. This was almost like that, but with, you know, her Muslim faith and her brother being a very devout Muslim. And I was enthralled with her comic. And, you know, they did a pretty good job on the show of showing that a bit, just not as deeply as it did in the comics.
Mm-hmm. And yes, Sierra, I know that she didn't originally have those powers. I pointed out that was actually one of the things that I appreciated. I'm glad that they didn't basically just make her a knockoff of Mr. Fantastic. I do like her in the comic, don't get me wrong. I just don't know if it would have translated as well to the screen. There are certain changes that the MCU makes that I'm okay with. Because I understand that certain things that they do in the comics doesn't always work for TV and movies. So I don't remember if I said this yet, but yeah, I'm going to put it in a B tier.
Okay,
all right,
so let's see.
What did Dave give it?
Dave gave it a
D.
Right? Me and you gave it
a
B's.
Okay, so we both gave it B's. Dave gave it a D. What did our audience say?
Sierra said C. TG said C plus or B minus.
Okay.
I think Carrie said a B also.
I'm wondering if that puts it into C tier then.
Well, 3 Bs, wouldn't that put it into B tier?
But the D brings it down, doesn't it?
Well, no, we've always said if 3 are the same. Like the 3 S's for Loki put it up there. So we've got 3 B's, possibly 4 B's if TG has a B minus or a C plus. And I don't think the D brings it down out of that. So I think it's a B.
All right. Miss Marvel, you're going into B. Now, in our current lineup of B's, where do you think it fits with the rest of the other series?
I think it passes Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but it's not better than Hawkeye or Shang-Chi.
I think I would have to agree with that. Should we wait for Dave to make a final decision on that?
And Carrie agrees.
Okay. TG agrees with that. Okay.
Okay, I think we're good enough.
All right. Yeah, I think we're good. All right. Then that brings us. So, just got done talking about another series. That brings us to our next theatrical release, and that is Thor: Love and Thunder. Thor: Love and Thunder. Keith, do you want to go first?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think some of the things this movie did really well was the villain, Gore the God Butcher, was Christian Bale was tremendous as that. You know, I think it had a lot of good in it. You know, the story was okay. I don't want to say it was great. You know, it was great seeing Jane Foster come in. I liked the fact that they sort of switched up Gore a little bit. You know, he was searching for eternity to kill all the gods instead of killing them all himself. But it veered to be a little too silly at times. Like, you know, Stormbreaker being a little jealous of Mjolnir and, you know, things like that. Rewatching it, I really enjoyed it at the theater, but I think my ranking has come down in my rewatching it because, you know, I don't think the, you know, Stormbreaker being jealous really worked as a gag. And I think overall, outside of Gore the God Butcher, it really was just kind of an average movie. It wasn't anything fantastic. You know, the special effects were good, not great. And overall, I forgot what I ranked. Let me see what I ranked it. Because I think on the rewatch, I was kind of disappointed in a lot of the choices. It went by, one of the complaints we had at the theater was this movie flew by way too fast. They could have had 10, 15 more minutes to fill in a little more story for the plot that they just didn't have. Whether that was mandated by Marvel Studios that it had to be under 2 hours, you know, I don't know. But overall, I think I got to give this movie a C. Because it had its points, but it's had its negatives kind of equal the positives, I think.
We're talking Thor.
We are. We're talking Thor: Love and Thunder.
Thor L and T.
Oh, hey, Doug, you're supposed to move Miss Marvel ahead of Falcon and the Winter Soldier on the board.
Oh, sorry.
Excuse me. Yeah, I remember when we saw it at the theater, I think I gave it an 8.5 even, not just an 8. Because it was good to be back in the theater. The story was like Ragnarok, you know, it was a lot like Ragnarok. And it did make me laugh at certain points, but overall the more time I spent away from it, the more I thought, it's just kind of an average movie. You know, nothing I'd write home about, you know. What's his name? If you want to read one of their tweets, go ahead.
No, just...
So, Terrible Gaming says, Stormbreaker being jealous did not make any sense, especially with Mjolnir not minding its business.
Well, and then, you know, there's the thing where, what's her name? Sif. When Sif was there and she had lost her arm and he just made a joke out of it, and that's the last you saw of Sif. You know, I thought she was a little more... I've always thought she needed a little more development, more story. I hear she might be in some kind of production involving Beta Ray Bill. I hope that comes out. You know, I heard that was a rumor. But I hope that happens because I think she's a good character. But overall, they went for goofy over substance in this movie. And that kind of, you know, the more time I spent away from it, not seeing it again, it's just like made me not want to see it again. So it was all right. It was a movie. It was better than Morbius. I just wanted to see what you guys say about that.
So you gave it an 11?
That's good that you rated this better than your favorite movie of all time.
Is there a higher grade than an S? Because I gotta find.
Yeah, it's Morbius.
So I'm gonna give it a C. Yeah, it's an M. I'm gonna give it an M from Morbius.
An M from all.
So I'm gonna give it a C. C overall.
Huh. All right. Yeah, so I think I actually rated this lower than Dave did in the theater, only because, and this was my own fault. I loved Ragnarok so much, and I also loved the original Thor. Dark World isn't as bad as I used to say it was. It's still watchable. It's fine. It's not the worst thing to ever happen to the MCU. So I was really, really hyped for Thor Love and Thunder. Like, of all the things that I was, like, super duper excited that were going to be coming out, this is going back to, like, 2019, I think, when we first started about it, and we were originally talking about it on our channel. I was really, really looking forward to Thor Love and Thunder just because I like what Taika Waititi does. I think he's a really good director. I loved what he did with Ragnarok. I thought it was an excellent movie. But yeah, it definitely had its faults. It wasn't as good as my own brain was telling me it was going to be, and when I was looking forward to it. When I first went into that movie, my thought process was, oh my god, I'm going to love this so much. This is going to be, if we're talking about like our tier list here, this is going to be above S tier. This is going to be the greatest thing ever. I've been looking for it. Like, I wasn't amazed by everything else that we had seen in Phase 4, other than I'd say Spider-Man as far as like movies go. But this was going to be the thing. I was going to be like, oh my god, it's going to be so freaking good. And I was a little let down in theaters. There was a couple of things that they didn't spend enough time on. It could have been longer. I've seen some of the deleted scenes since then, and I almost feel like them turning Zeus into a cartoony villain wasn't the way to go. Some of the deleted scenes showed him actually being more of a mentor figure to Thor, and I think that might have actually been... Like, I know that you need to get Hercules into the MCU, and they needed to find a way to get him to be antagonistic towards, the Avengers, or whoever are the current, Guardians of the Earth or whatever. I get that needs to happen, but I don't think they needed to go the route that they did. I also feel like we could have used a bit more time with Jane. I really liked seeing her as the Mighty Thor. I thought they did a really good job with that. Obviously, she's still an amazing actress, and maybe one day, she'll be in a Star Wars movie. Who's to say, though? But, Taika Waititi has his say.
Yeah, he's pretty sharp on that one.
Yeah. But, it wasn't as good as I was expecting going in. It was pretty decent. I thought that the changes that they made to Gore were good. Some of the scenes that were in the movie were lifted directly out of the comics, so that was cool.
Yep.
I was hoping that they would introduce symbiotes to the greater MCU, but I'm assuming they couldn't. There may be some issue with them that, like, Sony wouldn't allow it. I don't know. I was hoping they would with the sword because, as we stated in our Theory Palooza talking about Thor Love and Thunder, the sword that Gore the God Butcher uses is the sword of the King of the Symbiotes. So it would have been cool if they would have done that. I understand if they couldn't, why that would be the case. So I'm willing to give that a pass. So I'd say, with all of that in mind, the fact that it was like equal parts to me good and bad, and the fact that the home release, the Disney Plus release, they ended up fixing up some of the CG, I'll throw it into C tier. I think that's where it fits for me.
So let's see. We have a C from Sierra, I think. A D from Terrible
Yep.
Gaming. A D from Dave. A C from me. A C from Doug.
What about Carrie?
I don't see. Oh, yeah. Sierra gave it a C. I don't see Carrie's.
She gave it a C.
Okay, so it sounds like we got a C.
Above What If, she says.
Yeah, I'll definitely
All right.
agree that this is above what.
Yeah, I agree with that too. All right, so Thor joins C tier above What If. Okay. Cool. So, the next
Commercial
thing to
break.
be released, and believe it or not, for those of you that were unaware, this is apparently considered a part of the MCU, and this is the, I guess, kids series? Is that what you would consider it? Called I Am Groot. That was on Disney+. Plus.
The reason I
TG
would
says,
argue
let's
about
give Thor an
including
S for effort.
Aw.
What the reason I wouldn't include it is because they're only 5-minute episodes, you know. And there's only 5 of them. That's why I wouldn't include this.
And honestly, it doesn't really push the story forward for Phase 4, the multiversal saga, really much of anything. It's just kind of a cute little 5-minute clips of Groot. Which, while I watched it, I was like, yeah, that's nice. That was enjoyable. Okay, but I mean, honestly, I can't see myself ranking it above a C because it was just some cute little videos.
Yeah.
See, I couldn't even give it a C, but I don't have kids, so like I don't feel the same way about it that you guys might. I would have no reason to watch it outside of this channel, and I did, and I didn't enjoy it. To me, it wasn't even enjoyable. It was dumb. I mean, I know I'm not the target audience, so take that with a grain of salt that I say that I think it was dumb.
And also, the worst thing about it was they didn't put it as like a series where you could just watch it one after another. They set them up as something separate for each short. So you had to watch one and then, okay, look at episodes. Okay, go to the next one. That was the most annoying part, outside of the fact that it was just kind of there. But it was cute. The
Carrie,
animation was good.
Carrie, we're talking about the I Am Groot series. The little 5-minute short episodes that they released on Disney Plus. It was just there. I don't think there was much voice acting outside of Groot saying "I am Groot" a few times.
That was pretty much it.
Did they actually bring Vin Diesel back to do the force, like to say "I am Groot" for this, or?
Oh my God. Terrible. TG said Doug needs to watch Coco Melon for 6 hours.
No, the hell I do not.
Sierra didn't watch it. Good call.
And Carrie said, the boys can't get enough. I hate that the credits are longer than the content. Sully loved it too. Sully has a little Groot keychain. He was trying, after we watched it, he wanted to play Groot in Lego Avengers, but he wasn't a character in it. So it helps that you have kids that definitely enjoy it, but
I'm sure it does. Well, for me personally, I'm tossing this down to E because it's useless for me.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, this definitely didn't feed into the MCU. I agree with Carrie. So I don't care where we put it. It's irrelevant. I can't even rate it.
Oh, damn. So I think if you can't even rate it, I think that automatically gives it an F then.
Okay, I'm good with that. That's fine. I don't think it affects the MCU at all. So.
All right. So, Keith, what did you give it? Or did
I
you
gave it a
talk
C.
about
Yep.
You gave it a, oh, damn. You gave it a C? Jesus. Okay.
Well,
Yeah, I got to watch it with my kids.
It is our silver lining. So.
And, well, Carrie saying NA, that also makes it an F. Damn. Okay,
Is this
so we
an
got
E?
an E, 2 Fs, and a C. And then what did the others say?
Sierra didn't watch. And I don't know if TG watched.
So, wow, I feel like that might drop it down to, it's either an E or an F then.
Yeah, I think it's an F. 3 Fs. 3 Fs concrete. Make it an F.
All right. Good. Moon Knight
So-
has a buddy now.
So is Moon Knight better than I Am Groot?
Yeah, easily.
No. I don't agree with that.
At
It looks
least,
like I'm in the minority. It has to go after Moon Knight, it says. That's what Carrie says. That's what Doug says.
Yeah.
So,
it's not, but Groot doesn't apply. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
well, with
that's
that in mind,
my
because
point.
Groot is only here because the MCU says that it's part of the MCU. So that's literally the only reason why he's here. Okay, but yes. Next, we get everybody's favorite, the most controversial show on the entire internet. Facebook groups have been created just to hate on this series. She-Hulk. Next, we get to talk about She-Hulk. Dave,
I am not in any of those groups. I am not in any of those groups, and I am not going to talk about this any more than I have. It's an F. Horrible. Worst show I've ever seen.
Oh, and
I'm
Carrie gave it a D.
Worst show you've ever seen. God damn, okay.
TG gave it a C. Okay, so we got a D, a C, and F. Doug, what do you rate it?
Well, I actually liked this series. I thought it was funny. It was my type of comedy. And here's the thing. I'm looking at this. I'm going to be generous with it. I look at it as being something different in the MCU, and out of all of the series that they've created for Disney Plus, this is the one that felt the most like a TV series. And so that's how I watched it. And yeah, I loved a lot of the jokes. Megan Thee Stallion and She-Hulk twerking did not bother me. It did not hurt my poor fragile soul. Her breaking the fourth wall in the final episode was fine, and in fact, all of her little fourth wall breaks were again fine with me because she does it in the comics, and I'm used to Daredevil doing it too, so I'm fine with it. It's okay.
Deadpool, not Daredevil.
Sorry,
Deadpool.
Deadpool doing it. Sorry, I had Daredevil in my mind because I want to mention that next. I love that they brought Daredevil back. I think that was great. I thought that his episode was fantastic. I think that they nailed his character pretty well. And I think that She-Hulk nailed his character pretty well.
Bum.
Like I said, I think the comedy really worked for me. The only thing that really didn't work for me was I was expecting more of like a court scene, like a court drama kind of drama show, and I expected them to take a bit more time learning the ins and outs of how court works, how lawyers work. And the showrunners admitted that they didn't do that, and they actually didn't know anything about attorneys or the law or how court works, and I think that hurt the show. So that would be my negative for it, and I would be... Oh, boy. But then there's Madison and Wong, and they were great. I'm going to have to throw this into C, because I enjoyed it. I had fun with it, and to me it was funny. I'm throwing it in C.
See, I definitely enjoyed a lot about this series, too. The whole fact that they didn't care about courtroom dramas didn't bother me at all. I thought Tatiana was amazing. I thought Charlie Cox coming in was well played. The episode with the shapeshifter pretending to be Megan Thee Stallion was hilarious. Them twerking at the end. Once again, I laughed. I thought that was a great way to end that show. And, I mean, this was...
Totally agree with you, Terrible Gaming. Yeah, I'll look at Megan all day.
Heck yeah. It's certainly not hurting the eyes at all. And they just, it was very 30 Rock inspired comedy. They didn't do it nearly as well as 30 Rock did, but I still enjoyed it. In the final, episode when she's talking to Kevin, the machine, and she's like, breaking the fourth wall, I gotta stop this ending. This is terrible. And she's like, hey, what about the X-Men? All very well done. And the fact that they preemptively struck at all of the trolls who were going to be, bad mouthing this series online was just great. I really enjoyed
They
it.
weren't trolling it just to troll it. They trolled it because it was a bad show.
No,
It was a bad show.
You
If
think
don't
it was
like
a
the
bad
That
show.
doesn't make you a troll. If you don't like the show, that doesn't make you a troll.
But
It's
if you're
just- it was a
online bad
garbage
mouthing
show.
it nonstop, that makes you a troll. If you're jumping
Well,
into other
not
people's
stop. Yeah,
mentions.
that's a little obsessive.
And there were
What?
a lot of people that are to this day still doing that, Dave.
Yep.
I kid you not. I can't go into like Marvel sword posting without somebody complaining about She-Hulk still.
I really didn't. Well, terrible gaming. Why is it so bad? I really didn't like all the man shaming. That was ridiculous. They came up with some stupid award called the Female Lawyer of the Year, and then they were mad that they received it. That was so stupid. I didn't like the Madison thing. I thought that was really lowbrow humor. I didn't think it was very funny at all. I didn't laugh once. This entire show. That last show, the finale works in the comics, but it doesn't work on a TV show. It was just so ridiculous. And then the way they brought in Scar at the end, just like, all right, here's a throwaway. Oh, here's my son. Wait a minute, is that canon now? Because he had he just shows up with his son. It was just so stupid the way they brought it in. The whole show was stupid.
The way they brought in Scar was definitely not good, but I thought the jokes worked for the most part. I thought the ending worked. I loved it when she's like, "I smashed bad endings. I smashed, Matt Murdock."
That was funny.
And this was a show made by women, basically for women. Wait, but I liked it. What does that say about me? But I just thought overall it was funny. It preemptively attacked trolls online. It just did a great job. It knew what it was, and it did a good job. Now, once again, it wasn't 30 Rock. It wasn't that great. But yeah, I do love women too. TG, you're right. But I'm going to go with Doug. I'm going to give it a C because I think it's rewatchable. I think the acting was great in it. I love they brought in Megan Thee Stallion. I love they brought in Charlie Cox. And the only really bad part is, I agree with Dave. Scar showing up like that, who should be a major character in the MCU going forward, was a bit rushed and ill-conceived. But I definitely give it a C.
Yeah, a little matter of fact on his entry there.
All right, so it looks like we have 3 C's, 2 F's, and a D.
So does
C minus? D?
Yeah, C. We've said if 3 give it the same grade, we've been going with it.
Oh, did you say 3 C's?
Yeah, we had.
Yeah, so it's me, Keith, and TG.
All right.
Yeah, Sierra and Dave gave it F's, and Carrie gave it a D. Ooh, what if Carrie would have gave it an F and we had 3?
Then it would have probably dropped it down to a D.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah, D
All
or
right.
E, but it would have been in between.
So, She-Hulk. Where does it match up with What If and Thor?
I would put it ahead of What If, behind Thor and Love and Thunder. Wait, Carrie, are you going to give it an F then?
Oh, okay.
Oh,
She gave it an
jeez.
F. Definitely
Oh,
last.
then
Thank you,
if
Carrie.
she gives it an F, then it
Moves down to a
then
D.
drops it down to a D.
Yep.
All right, then where does that match up versus Eternals?
I liked it better than Eternals.
I'm looking at the wrong chart. I think it was definitely worse than Eternals.
Okay.
Obviously, I think it's the worst TV show ever made. So,
Damn, the worst TV show ever made?
I'm
yes.
sending Dave over some Cop Rock episodes.
what's Cop Rock?
It was a musical about police officers.
Oh, well,
It
then we're
is-
going to
I
send
could
them
do
over
this
like,
all day times 10.
Yes, you would definitely.
Oh my God.
You would apologize to She-Hulk after seeing that.
I'll send you episodes of Hunter.
Yeah.
That abomination of a cop show.
Hunter?
Hunter.
Okay.
So bad. It was... Hunter was like if somebody saw a list of like 70s and 80s cop show cliches that somebody had made as a joke and then thought that that was a good idea to turn into a full show.
All 10 seasons.
Yes. They just kept going.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
yeah, all right. I'm good with that then.
Well, Carrie and I say it should be above Eternals. Dave and Sierra, I believe, say it's after. TG, do you think it's better or worse than Eternals? And Doug, what do you think?
I think it's better than
Carrie says
Eternals.
last.
I think it's better than Eternals.
She says, I think on group ranking it would go before it. It was last on C, but it goes ahead of Eternals. So I think we move it ahead of Eternals.
All right.
Possibly, depending on TG.
Yeah, I would watch. I have watched episodes of She-Hulk again. I'm not in a rush to watch Eternals again.
Yeah. Okay, he says moves it ahead.
Thanks for
all
leaving us
sounds
alone
good.
there, TG.
Okay, so next on our list is the first of a new thing that the MCU introduced, and that was a special presentation. That is a new thing that they started this year, and they introduced to us Werewolf by Night. Werewolf by Night. And the reason why, not only was this a fantastic show to me, but this allowed us to introduce our new series on YouTube and break into YouTube Shorts with Keith here reading issues of Werewolf by Night. If you have not seen our YouTube Shorts, definitely go check those out. I was able to, unfortunately, the way that they are formatted, I had to do a little bit of manipulating and editing before uploading some of them to TikTok. I haven't finished putting them on TikTok. I'll get around to that, but they're also there too. But anyway, yeah. It was a really fun little short, not quite a movie, I guess. Not
It's
a
special. Holiday special,
it
50
is
minutes.
a special presentation, so I guess that's why it has to get its own little category. But it was really stylish. I loved the way they did this. It was all in black and white up until the very end, except for like save a few things were marked with the color red. It was definitely in the same vein as like a lot of monster movies, like your Frankensteins and your Draculas and stuff like that. And I really don't think I have anything to complain about. It was a fun watch. I enjoyed it.
I agree. 100%. I'm not.
So
I don't say
it's not S tier for me, but it's definitely at least an A. I would give it an A because it was fun. I have rewatched it since then. It was good for what it was. It was a nice little special presentation. So yeah, I had fun with it.
Yeah, I agree.
And
I give it an A as
the
well.
little end credit scene that was in color, I think that that made it good. It was even better. It was funny.
With Keith's favorite character, Man Thing.
Yes. Yep.
Keith muted.
Somebody muted?
I've been muting OBS when I've been coughing. So,
Thanks, TG.
yeah. Thank you, TG.
Okay.
So, yeah, I thought this was very stylish. It harkened back to the days of the monster movies with the ghoul and other things, back on old TV. So it was very nostalgic. I mean, the plot flowed very nicely. It was entertaining. The practical effects they did looked great. I mean, they made Man-Thing look amazing. The budget for this was low. And they made everybody. They made the transition into werewolf, which was a lot of just acting on the guy's part. I can't remember his name. And then they made Man-Thing look good, with a very low budget. So I definitely give this an A. I've watched this like 3 times since it came out. I really enjoy it, and I hope, between this and the Guardian special, presentations, I hope we get more. So I definitely give it an A.
All right, I don't think any of our viewers have seen it yet.
Yep, Carrie,
And we all
TG
give
didn't
it an
see
A.
it. So now where do we put it in the A rank?
Well, what did Dave say? I didn't hear what he...
He gave
I
it an
give
A.
Oh, you gave it an A? All right.
Yep.
Oh, one more thing that I will say about this, just kind of go off of what Keith was saying about the visual effects. I think my favorite out of all the visual effects that they did was when they were showing him transform into the werewolf by night, and they did it by showing the shadow reflecting in the light against the wall. God, that was so cool.
And it fit the mood.
It
of
did.
the movie.
It really did. And then, obviously, one of my favorite parts, the little joke where they reanimate the corpse by winding him up and making him talk. The corpse of, what's his name, of the Elder Bloodstone.
Yeah. I'm rotting for you.
Yeah, I'm rotting for you.
That's some good stuff, man.
That was great. So yeah, I think that this definitely, this is totally A tier. I would, I don't know. I don't know that I could put it above either of WandaVision or Multiverse of Madness. It's because it's just kind of like its own thing, and it's not quite. I don't know.
No, I'm with you. I think this has to be
I would leave
third.
it after Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
But that's not saying it's bad.
No, it was great, but it didn't push the MCU story forward that much yet. Right. I'm sure we're going to get these characters back, but it was just kind of a standalone thing that was just really well done. So I agree. I think this is third in the A tier.
I would put it first. But I'm already outvoted. So.
All right. And with that, you all need to see this. Our audience, check it out. Go to Disney Plus. Go watch Werewolf by Night. It's a fun watch. I think I watched it when it first came out, so that would have been like right before Halloween. Definitely fit the mood better back then, but it's still good. It's still worth another watch. You know, I would watch it again.
If you like horror, like my daughters like horror. If you like horror, you know, go watch it. It's a good. Yeah. It's a good watch.
So, that brings us to our last movie of Phase 4. And, oh my god, what a movie it was. Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever. I'm still kind of riding that high. I wish I could have seen it with you two gentlemen. Unfortunately, I had to go see it after the fact because I was sick. But I still had to go see it in Super IMAX, and I'm glad that I did. I loved this movie. I thought it was really good. There are a few things that I could nitpick about it. But there was so much of it, there was so much good about it that I enjoyed, that to me it kind of outweighs the couple of things that I would nitpick. I think the largest thing that didn't work for me in this movie was the poor introduction of Ironheart, Riri Williams. I think they did it wrong, and I think she deserved more. I know that they needed to introduce her here before they put her in the series that she's going to get all on her own. But if you would have removed her from this movie, it really wouldn't have changed much. Honestly, at all. And the fact that she was really only relegated to kind of being brought into this international conflict to fight a war that she did not really have any stake in on either side. She's not from Wakanda or from, Namor's homeland or anything like that. It's just, I don't know. I didn't agree.
They got to her first.
Yeah, but I mean, I didn't agree with their use of her.
Yeah.
And the fact that they also really, really quickly in a montage had her design a new suit. Super quick. We barely had time to focus on it. And then she used it very quickly, and then they took it away from her.
And it looked like Baymax.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt she deserved better because she's such a cool character. And the way that she's presented in the comics is so much better. Her story is so cool, so hopefully they rectify that in her series. But other than that, I really don't have much else to complain about. It was just, this was such a good movie, and I enjoyed like almost everything about it. So for me, this has got to be A or S. This is hovering more towards S for me.
You throw one more S in there, buddy.
Yeah. I gotta
okay.
I gotta throw this in S tier.
Yeah, I know Keith is going to probably give it a much higher mark than me. Or maybe not. We agreed at the theater, so let's see. Go ahead, Keith. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, I mean, as I've had time to think about this, I enjoy it more and more. I think they did a great job with Talocan and how they kind of updated that so it wouldn't just be the same as Aquaman, even though Namor came before Aquaman. They switched it up and made a little more sense.
So
They
you're his
tied it.
enemy.
Yes, I am his enemy. And they did such a great job. I mean, the guy who played Namor was fantastic. He really did a great job. And even though they missed Chadwick Boseman's presence, I mean, it was still very well done. All the characters were very well fleshed out. Even Riri Williams, I mean, they did enough with her to kind of bring her about, but I can't wait to see her series where they can really expand on her and bring her, completely in. But, I loved watching it. I thought about it quite a bit. I really enjoy it. I don't know if I can go S tier. I think if Chadwick was in it, it would definitely be S tier. I'm going between an S and an A right now, and I'm probably going to go, number one of the A tier because this movie was just so well executed, so well done, and I just think that they lost the main character after the script had been written, and we still got a tremendous movie, and that just really says a lot. I mean, they had to pivot pretty hard, and we still got a fantastic movie out of it. So I think I'm definitely going to go with A.
Keith, were your allergies acting up at all?
Yes.
Maybe some dust in the air. Yeah, mine were too. How weird. Yeah, during
That's
the
great.
movie.
They did a really good job with their dedication to Chadwick Boseman. That was like right off the bat, you're already choked up. That was great. And then they did it.
Yeah.
What was it, 3/4 of the way through the movie again? And
Yep.
it was just both times it hit you. He was fantastic. As far as the movie goes, I didn't like it as much as you guys, and even giving space, I didn't hate it, but it's not like you guys are going between S and A. I'm going between A and B, just like Carrie did. If you read her
What did
chat,
Carrie say?
that off the record she did. Wait a minute. I'd say A, but off the record I'd say first among the Bs. I totally agree with that. It's between A and B for me. I wasn't really moved by the whole, the battle in the end there. It ended kind of anticlimactically, and just agreeing to it. I mean, I know they had to do. There's certain things in this movie that had to happen, and it seemed like that's all it was for me. This has to happen to set up something farther down the line. We need to introduce Namor, and we need a reason to introduce him. And once we have that reason, let's bring in Riri because let's just say she invented the thing. Okay. It just didn't flow all together for me. You know what I mean? It just, and like Doug's big complaint with that is kind of mine, the same. She didn't really do much for the story. Kind of could have been there, could not have been there. I'm not discounting that character. I want to see her show, but it didn't fit here for me. So that marked it down between an A and a B for me.
So let's see. We got 2 S's, 2 A's, and a B. So does that make it an A?
I think that makes it an A.
Is Carrie's an A or is it a B?
She said to keep my black card, I say A, but off the record, I have to say it's first among the B's.
All right, so that would make it an A.
Okay.
Do
All right, yeah, so...
Now, for me,
So
I think it needs to go ahead of everything else in the A tier. I just think
would agree with that.
it had much more of an emotional impact.
Mm-hmm.
Between all those movies? Yes, I agree. Among those.
All right, everybody, that leaves us with one final piece of Phase 4. One final piece, and that is the most recent release that we got actually last Friday. That is the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. This was fun. It does push the MCU forward, where Werewolf by Night didn't really push the MCU forward very much. Oddly enough, the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday movie does, because for those of you that have not seen it, I won't spoil it here, but they do reveal something that they haven't mentioned in any of the movies before. And gentlemen, since it is already a little bit later than we would normally do this, do we still want to actually break down and review this tonight, or do we want to save it for Wednesday?
I think we save it for Wednesday.
All right, then why don't we kind of leave it a little bit as spoiler free as we can, because I don't know if everybody in the chat has had a chance to see it yet. And Carrie, yeah, I would say the thing that they introduced, the little tidbit of knowledge, I think that's enough to move the MCU forward a little bit. I think it adds to the MCU in a way that we didn't know before, because it does have some potential ability to unlock Peter's celestial powers, and I'll leave it at that.
It's just, you could see it affecting like not only the next Guardians movie, but any. I'm not going to say the character. So
there's honestly a few things that move the story forward, and we won't get into it here. But I mean, it was a fun watch. I watched it early Friday morning, then I watched it with the family Friday afternoon, and it was funny because we went over to my in-laws for like a Thanksgiving dinner on Saturday, because we spent Thanksgiving with my family, and Sully wanted to watch it again, and his cousins his twin cousins that are like 8 months younger than him, they were like, "We watched it last night. Let's watch it again." So we ended up watching it again there, and then we watched it again this morning, and it's just fun. It's a good time. It has some good laughs. Pam as Mantis is great. She's funny.
It's got Kevin Bacon.
It's got Kevin Bacon in it, and
it's got Kevin Bacon in it, and it was great.
It's got some great songs in it. It really. I mean, if you don't feel some Christmas cheer after watching that, then, might be something wrong with you. I definitely give this an A. I enjoyed it. It has rewatchable. It moves the MCU forward a little bit, which we'll talk about on Thursday, not Wednesday, on our, Let's Play night. But
on Thursday,
I definitely, absolutely enjoyed this.
Absolutely?
You what enjoyed it?
Absolutely.
Yep, I agree. A great show.
Yeah. I was hovering somewhere around between a B and an A. I wasn't really sure, but thinking about it, like after hearing you talk about it, Keith, I think I'm willing to put it in A tier. It was fun, and I understood what James Gunn was trying to do with it. He was definitely trying to create. He was creating an homage to a lot of other holiday specials. So,
well, he even said it was funny because someone
Wookiees in the background.
Someone asked him about about why he wanted to do it, and he said, because I really wanted to do something like the Star Wars holiday special, and that's why it had the animation and stuff. He said he didn't like the plot of the holiday special; he just liked the idea of it and bringing these characters in a different situation, and it was just a lot of fun. And it's funny that he pitched this to James Gunn or to Kevin Feige, as Dave would know, when they were wrapping up Guardians 2.
Okay.
Oh, did he? Wow.
Yeah, and Kevin Feige was like, "Yeah, it sounds great."
I didn't realize that it went back that far.
Yeah.
No kidding. Right.
Yeah, but we can't really expand on that without really spoiling anything. So I would give it an A. I think all three of us give it an A. I don't know if anyone in the chat has seen it.
Carrie has.
I think TG
has. TG gave it an A too. Yeah.
All right.
So and Sierra's not there anymore. So.
I think the vast majority gives it an A then.
Yep. Straight up.
Now where do we put it in the A bracket?
Number 2. Number 2 for me.
I think I'd put it ahead of Werewolf by Night.
I would put it ahead of Werewolf, but not ahead of everything else.
Damn, I'll vote it again.
Well, we still, yeah, TG and Carrie.
Yeah.
Where did TG and Carrie think it should fit?
Because it's, again, with it being another one of those special presentations, it's hard to, have it go up against Multiverse of Madness, WandaVision, and Wakanda Forever. So I don't know. I feel like it's fine to compare it against Werewolf by Night, and I would put it ahead of that one. But and Carrie hasn't seen Werewolf.
Oh, that's right. So it's hard.
Alright.
So
And I think
I don't
I
think
think
TG
both
is
of
bad.
those shows are going to factor into the MCU.
So, Keith and I say ahead of Werewolf by Night. Dave, what did you say?
I said after Wakanda Forever.
After Wakanda Forever. So what are we thinking, Keith?
well, I think we overruled Dave. Just because it's 2-1.
All right.
Majority rules here. Unless TG breaks the tie or breaks the thing, I think this is where we're ending up for the evening.
Yeah. Wow. So we just broke down, or well, yeah, I guess we did. Man, we kind of like did a breakdown and review of everything that got released in the MCU. And wow, this is the longest stream I think that we've done so far.
It
3
is,
hours
yes.
and 11. Holy shit. Well, we'll see how YouTube enjoys this one. Hopefully it gets a whole bunch of, people wanting to see how we reviewed all this stuff.
And don't forget to hit us up at Twitter, leave a comment down below, and we will see you next time on Not Your Status Quo.